All right, we're live. Welcome to the weekly real estate talk show with Raul Luna. It's pretty exciting, to have every single one of you guys here today. And I know that, making the space, making the time, guys and ladies, to get educated, to get well versed and knowledgeable in the real estate community, in the real estate world, it will pay off when you have purpose. Okay, keep that in mind. Any education will, or I should say maybe not even any, but the real estate education that you acquire, the financial education that you acquire, it will pay off when you have purpose. Today we're going to be discussing basically, properties or deals that are time wasters versus deal makers. Okay, so it's one of those great topics, and feel free to just add. We're obviously streaming Facebook Live as well as here in the webinar, but keep in mind that I don't get to see the Facebook. I get to see the chats within the webinar. So feel free to obviously be interactive, leave comments or messages, whatever it is. For the people that don't know me, Raul Luna here from Modesto, in the offices in Modesto, basically going worldwide. And it's pretty exciting because I started real estate 19 years ago. And if a farm boy from a farm town is able to, work its way to success, trust me, there is no excuse that you can come to me, whether you're experienced or, not, or don't have experience, whether you're from another country or this country, doesn't matter. I won't buy the excuse of your height, the excuse of not having money, the excuse of whatever it is. Just keep in mind, excuses won't pay the bills. So, and excuses won't make you successful either. So pay attention to the mindset that oftentimes we get to either feed or develop. Okay, all the time we're either feeding something positive or something negative. I hope it's something positive, and I'm gonna assume it is positive because you're here today, obviously live with us, at the weekly real estate talk show with, by Raul Luna. So I'm excited to share those things with you. So let's get started. Time wasters versus deal makers, and keep in mind, and I'm going to speak from just pure experience of what I've gone through, and it's very interesting. Keep in mind that in order to hit, or in order to find, or in order to get the deal makers, you're going to have to evaluate a lot of deals that may seem as time wasters. Okay, and at the beginning, if you're new at this industry, or if you're basically just getting started, you should be evaluating a lot of deals. Even if they're time wasters, you should be evaluating as many deals as you can. And one of the things that I always say is pick a location, pick a niche, and own that niche, own that location first. By owning it, meaning get to know everything that you can know about it. Get to know, which blocks are the great blocks, and which blocks, are not the so good blocks that you shouldn't be in. The school districts. Get to know, obviously, the busy streets, the non-busy streets. I mean, get to own. I mean, own your area by being the best in not being the best at knowing that area, having the knowledge, so that you can have the upper hand, so you can have the edge when a deal comes in. So keep in mind that in order to get a great deal, you're gonna have to go through the ones that seem time wasters. And even until today, I still go through, it's funny because I will get deals. The other day I got an email from someone that put me a presentation for out-of-state deals. It was like, I don't know, it was like 15 or 20 of them. I forget the number, but it was interesting because it was deals that, and I'll give you an example. It was deals that, the ARV was $250,000, and then the renovation, the ARV was 250, renovation was 50,000, but they want 175,000. And one of the things that I came to conclusion is, I will give one opportunity, maybe two opportunities for someone to submit, deals. But if I see that the ARV is inflated, way inflated, and the renovations are not basically where they should be, and then the asking price is very close. Like, I'll give you an example: 175 plus 50,000, 175,000 plus 50, that puts you on 225. And then in the presentation it said $25,000 profit. Have you seen those type of offerings or those type of deals out there? Now, I'll be frank. The first time I said, okay, maybe there's a mistake, but then I will look at the second time, and if the second time continues to be the same, I'm gonna put that person or that situation as, you know what, is always gonna be the same thing. But you gotta be careful, because you will go through a lot of time wasters, and it's part of the terrain. It's part of what you're gonna, a lot of deals are gonna cross your desk. But you got to make sure that you get really good at your area that you're going to select to work in. And the reason I say this is because not too long ago, I got a call from from a person that I worked in the past, that I've actually sold properties to. And he called me up and told me, Raul, this is the situation. This is the ARV. And I'll give you specific numbers. He says the ARV is around about $370,000. It was a property in Manteca. It was interesting because the property being in Manteca, he says ARV is 370. The renovation is about 70,000, Raul, and I have it under contract at I think it was what it was. It was. I forgot actually it was $220,000, $220,000. So do the math. I mean, right away. Now I know that the numbers were coming from a good source, from someone that I had respect, that I've seen, him do several, flips, that basically, he's not going to invite me into a deal that, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, or it doesn't make sense at all. So do the numbers. 370, if you do 80% minus 70,000 of renovation, that's 226. I did my math, and I'm sharing obviously the formula that I use. And it's not a formula that fits, one formula fits all. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes I buy at 80, sometimes I buy at 70, sometimes I buy at 75. It all depends. It depends on many things. Depends on location, on the condition of the property, desirability, architectural of the property, school districts. I mean, it depends many things. But you'll come very well versed, as you start evaluating properties. But see, my math was telling me the max I can pay for this property is 226. Okay. Now, keep in mind, this is from a gentleman that I have much respect from, that basically he brought me the deal, calls me up and says, I need $120,000, Raul, to do this deal. Can you put the money and I'll bring you as a partner? And I told him, well, send me all the info. He sends me the info. And as he sends me the info, I call him back and I say, hey, listen, I know a way that I can do the same deal for $22,000. I'll bring the 22,000 and let's go in together. I like the deal. It's slim, it's thin. I'll be honest. If I got to bring 120,000 to make, $46,000 into it, I'm not interested on. But I'll bring 22,000 because I found a way how to do it. He says, how? I said, well, that's my way of doing it, right? So if you like it, let's do it. He says, let's do it. And it was interesting enough because we ended up wholesaling. We obviously wholesale the deal at 85% minus repairs. And it was funny because I called him up and I said, hey, brother, is it okay with you if we can make the same amount of money that we were going to make, even if we don't end up renovating the deal or closing on the deal? And he says, do you think we can do that? I said, sure, of course. I got already confirmation. It's really just a matter that you're okay with it. He says, yes. I said, fantastic. Now, all of this happened within a very, very short period of time. From the time he sent me the deal, I got on the phone right away. I told him, listen, the numbers are thin, but based on what you are presenting me, the deal makes sense. Although It is really, really, I don't like to be right on the 80% on just a house that I'm going to flip. And it's just, it's too thin. It's not, if we're going to partner up, there's not a whole lot, but I told him I will do it if I only bring 22 grand. So send him the assignment agreement, basically, got it all signed up, all within the same day, ladies and gentlemen. Now I'm sharing a deal that it was a deal maker, a deal that made sense. Okay. Now keep this in mind. The interesting thing was that this is an off-market deal. Somebody brought it obviously to him, and he brought it to me. I was able to spot it right away. But why? Let me tell you why. Because of what I just shared. Location. I know the location really well. 1 block away, I own a shopping center and some land. So this happens to be on a location that I know really, really well, that I feel really, really well, very comfortable with that market. It is a hot, desirable section. It is, I like the fact that the home was a fairly new home, that it was half an acre, that basically it was like a small little ranchette. And it wasn't that destroyed. It was obviously a lot of garbage. So the interesting thing is this: once we went into a partnership, I told him, well, let's get some bids. Let's get bids. And I made him a lot of questions. And I say, listen, you're going to do the footwork. I'm just going to be basically asking questions and guiding you. And it was interesting because he took a contractor, and I told him, listen, I'm going to do it, but I want to make sure that we use, obviously, a licensed contractor. And I gave him my reasons why. And I said, we want to make sure that we're staying very tight on schedule, because we want to go in and we want to obviously go out, making sure that we don't hit the winter, things of that nature. And he says, yeah, definitely. So he took a contractor. The contractor gave him a really nice, detailed bid. You can tell from a contractor that is passionate for what he or she does versus a contractor that shoots from the hip, right? But that's a whole different story of it in itself. He forwards me the email and says, Raul, I got the bid. The bid came in at $73,000. Now, picture this, 73, but there were still things that were not included. So maybe it was going to come in right around maybe 80,000 or something like that. Now, this is from a general contractor, okay? That was the very first bid. We were going to get 3 other bids, just to compare. But the interesting thing is, this is when from a deal maker versus a time waster. When when you're new, and this is not putting, talking bad about newbies or things like that. But when you're new and you don't know how to calculate construction cost or do comparables or evaluation, it's not that the newbie is a bad person. It's probably the fact that doesn't know what doesn't know, okay, which is important, but doesn't mean that because it doesn't know, it's excused from it, okay? In other words, just because someone is ignorant doesn't mean that it's a perfect excuse. But at the same token, it's important to understand, because when my friend gave me the numbers, I kind of felt good with the numbers. How do you think that I felt good about it? Because, after doing hundreds of, properties, you get to know what is it going to take, if we need to do roof, if we need to do flooring, we need to do all of this. And usually I do it by, price per square feet. I actually have a sheet that we use. We have a sheet, and let me see if I can show it to you here. We have a sheet that we use that we developed throughout the years, on a property that needs, property that is in the Bay Area is treated differently by square footage. Property that is in the Central Valley is different because labor, is a bit cheaper. And, it's a light rehab, medium rehab, high rehab, heavy rehab. And, it goes from $40 a square foot all the way to $150 a square foot, depending on the location. And I'm talking about depending location and obviously the different type of areas. So anyways, the moment I went and did my comparables, and usually I like to start with Redfin. Redfin is not perfect, but I always like to start there. Go to Redfin, check it out. And this is for a single family home, okay, by the way, right? Multifamily is a whole different animal. We'll be talking about that here in the next coming, talk shows. But right now, I'm just basically talking about a single family home. Guess what? Go to Redfin, spits me out a number. Is not perfect. I'm not going to take it as, that's the only number, but he tells me if it's close or if it's not. I really liked the number that I was able to see there. I think it was $360 something. So I said, okay, 370, 360 something, close enough. Renovations felt good. I think I told him, I think it's more like in the 80s, in the mid 80s, but close enough. I said, you know what, 220 makes sense. Let's go ahead and get it done. So that happened right away. Why can I tell from a deal maker to a time waster? Write this down, okay? Write this down. You want to make sure. The only difference from me and you is the number of mistakes that I have made, okay? The difference from you and I is the number of mistakes that I've made. I've made mistakes that has alerted me, when I'll give you an example, time wasters. When people tell me, for instance, Raul, this is the biggest house on the block, it should sell for slightly more, or even if the house was to sell for exactly how the highest one on the block will sell for, big red alert. Why? I've been in that situation where you get the largest home in the community, and then somebody else tells me, well, if this house is 6,000 square feet and this is 4,000 square feet, this one sold for $1 million. Well, this should sell for at least the same or slightly more because, it's bigger. And that is absolutely not true. To me, it's a time waster. Why do you think I know that? Because I've lost money on deals like that. Okay, so I'm speaking pure experience here, ladies and gentlemen. Having the biggest square footage on the block, I'm telling you, there's a point that is called, and I don't know if I'm actually saying it right or not, but there is called the price per square. Boy, I went blank here. The diminishing return by square foot. In other words, it comes a point where the property, doesn't matter how big it is going to start diminishing by square footage, by price per square footage because of the size of the property. Does it make sense? And if you don't want to believe it, trust me, just do one and you'll have much respect for what I'm sharing here. That's one. When people are trying to sell their property so tight in margins, and you don't leave yourself for any possible construction run or construction contingency, or for any mistakes or discoveries, because they will happen. One thing I will tell you, in construction, in real estate, when you start ripping things apart, I can promise you, you will come through unexpected construction runs or unexpected items that now you're going to have to do, unless you want to close your eyes and just say, oh, it's okay, I won't replace it, or I'm just going to continue just the way it is. And I don't know about you, but I like to sleep well. I prefer to just get it done right, and even if I'm going to spend more money on it. So keep those things in mind. Time wasters are there to serve a purpose. A lot of people will exaggerate on the ARV. They will underestimate the renovations, and usually that will, you will see even experienced wholesalers. That's why whenever I'm actually buying, listen to this, whenever I'm actually buying a property from a wholesaler or it's being assigned to me, one of the questions that I always like to ask is a few questions, but one of the questions is, why is the seller selling? Okay, why is the seller selling? Number two, why are you wholesaling it versus you renovating it? And the answers, it's going to give you some feedback so that if it's a time waster or it's a deal maker. Give you an example. When I ask them, why are you wholesaling it versus renovating it? and the person tells me, Raul, I just don't got experience in construction. This is my first flip or my first assignment or my first wholesale. Then I know I need to pay closer attention to the numbers, because if it's from a new person, nothing wrong with a new person. It's just that it's bound to make more just imagine this. If people experience like myself, makes mistakes even with experience, can you imagine when you're first starting, or when you just don't know what you don't know, right? So keep that in mind. On the other note, the other question that I like to ask is, this is critical. I said, listen, the estimated repairs, is it from bids that you got from a contractor, or is it just a guesstimate that you came about? And the answer to that question gets me, some real nuggets there. Because if it's from a contractor, then I will, I doesn't mean that it's a perfect thing either. It just means that at least somebody with more experience, or with experience in the construction side. So those three things, ladies and gentlemen, are critical, especially if it's a deal maker or time waster. The questions that you ask, but ARV is critical. If that's correct, could be a potential great deal. If the renovation is close enough, great deal. If the asking price allows you for that spread, my minimum spread on a single family home that I'm going to go in and out on a primary market, keep in mind, primary market, the highest I can go is 80% minus the repairs. That's where the highest, okay? That's not where I want to be most of the time, but that's the highest. Why? It leaves you a little bit of room to make, certain mistakes, but the profit margins are, a little bit smaller or lower, okay? Now, for multifamily, for duplexes, triplexes, or for other strategies, a whole different thing. So keep this in mind, okay? Another time waster, if it's a time waster. Are you buying on a primary market or a secondary market? And let me tell you why that is important. To me, may not be for you, because you may live on a secondary market. Secondary market, it's a market, just so that we can define it, it's more of a vacation destination market, or a market where wealthy people buy secondary homes. They don't live there most of the time. They just go there, once every few months out of the year. That's a secondary market. Ask me, how do I know? And I can tell you, what? To me, it's a time waster, because it takes longer to sell. You gotta ramp up the quality of finishes that you're gonna put in. And I prefer not to be on a secondary market. I got an email yesterday from someone that says, "Hey, Raul, I got a deal in Sonora. Would you buy Sonora?" And rapidly, I said, rapidly, no waste time, no wasting time here. I said, you know what? It's not my market. I classify it as a secondary market, so therefore, I'm not interested. So when you become really well at what you do, and you become at a mastery level of what you do, you will be able to cut a lot of time wasters out of the way. Let me give you a tip on how you can cut it, all right? The best way to cut the time wasters is have absolute clarity. What is your investment strategy, your location, your niche? What is the profit margin that you're looking? What are the property specific by type that you want to buy? When you have those things loud and clear, it will cut a lot of the time wasting. Why? Because when a property comes through your desk, or when you're looking through online, or when you're looking from wherever you're looking, you will be able to say, pass, that doesn't fit, that doesn't fit. How do you think I build, the best teams? How do you think I build teams that we attract to come and work for properties 180 and grow, you know, and help us grow themselves and you know, and grow the organization. How do you think I grow the organization? The number one thing that I must define is the philosophy, the core values of the company, you know, of the organization, because it's through that culture, that philosophy, those core values that we attract the correct people. You want to attract the right deals. You want to attract the most profitable, right, correct deals. You better have what I just shared right now, loud and clear, because when you have clarity, gives you power. When you have clarity, gives you velocity. When you have a purpose, when you know exactly what you're looking for, it's going to start giving you obviously velocity to it. Now, if you're first starting, if you're beginning, if you're new, my advice, evaluate everything that comes through your desk. Still define, make sure that you define it, but evaluate deals that you know, when you pick your location, your niche, your, you know, property type, things like that, evaluate everything, because it's through that process of grinding that you're going to become really good, really great at. And there's nothing wrong. I was new at one point, and I'll tell you the best decision that I made when I was new. You know what I did? You know, knowingly or unknowingly at the time, the best thing to do when you're new is connect with someone with experience, with a great track record, that you may have to give a portion of the deal to them, or the greater good portion of that deal. It may be that you give them the most, but I will tell you this much. If you value growth, if you value excellence, if you value experience, if you value the fact that you're going to become wiser, to me, I think that's the wisest way to go about. Partner up with the people that have what you don't have, so that you can become wiser, you know, and you can obviously create a shortcut through your, you know, through your learning curve. Anyways, I'll give you this much, okay, before I start answering some questions here, because I know that by this time you guys will have some questions that you want to get answers to. For all of you, whether you're experienced, whether you're not, whether you know, you're a real estate agent, you're a real estate investor, you're getting your feet wet, I want you to know this. We develop one of a kind, you know, real estate educational platforms and real estate academy by the name of levelupnowacademy.com. And yes, I am offering, and I will offer you a program that I am very passionate about, that I really like, because I will tell you this much. When I started real estate 19 years ago, you know, it was through books that we had to do. It was through punching ourselves in the face, or through the school of hard knocks. And I can tell you that, you know, I did a program that I called it How to Find Freaking Awesome Real Estate Deals, you know, right in your backyard. And you know, the name says it, you know. So if you're really, whether you're new or you're not, I can promise you that what you're going to learn there is a $10,000 program that I'm not going to sell it to you for $10,000, not even $5,000, not even $1,000. You'll see. And the regular price is $497. We got 2 full days that we squeezed it in a full entire day. We actually recorded it for over 12 hours, you know, on exactly step by step of what I do, how I do it, and exactly, you know, to define whether, you know, which ones are deals versus the non-deals. I go through residential, through commercial, you know, I give you access literally to everything that I use, that you could use immediately from day one, and everything is recorded that you could actually watch it on your own pace. And we're throwing in what is called a discount party for July 4th, you know, for the holidays, that you're going to be able to get it not for $497, but you'll get the whole entire program, okay, the entire recording that you're going to have access for the entire year for nothing more than just a little tiny bit of investment of $297. This will end, you know, right after July 4th, okay? It will end, it will get shut down. So basically, make sure that you invest in yourself if you're really serious about it, right? So anyways, wanted to share that. The link is Level Up Now Academy /find. And we're gonna go ahead and get to Questions, if there's any questions. If there's any questions, this is the time. Let's check. Okay, when you analyze rehab opportunity, do you deviate from buying it at 75% minus repairs? Mr. Juan Carlos, yes. It's case by case. I want to land. I prefer to be 75% of the ARV, which is the after repair value minus the repairs. But it's not all the time going to happen that way. I bought properties where I bought it at 80%. I even bought properties at 82, 83%, but it depends. It depends on the cycle of the year, the timing of the year. It depends the location of the property. It actually depends as well if the strategy is to add square footage. I'm going to break that formula. The formula doesn't matter. If I'm going to, for instance, buy it, if it's a multifamily building that I'm going to buy to add value because we're going to renovate and increase rents and things of that nature, yes, I may end up paying slightly more because the deal still makes sense because the strategy has changed or the exit strategy is different or the value add. So keep this in mind, okay? So that I can just put it into perspective. If it's a simple fix and flip or redevelopment where there's no other value add other than the existing structure, then that's when I'm going to get stuck, or not stuck, I should say, but that's when I want to be right no more than 80% of the ARV minus the repairs. But if there's other things, that I know because I know the area, that I can add, 400 square feet very easily on the basement, or because it's in a city that are easy to work with, to add square footage, no more than, 500 square feet over the counter, things of that nature, of course, is going to be seen with different set of eyes. But for purposes of simplicity, for purposes of going in, doing the renovation, and then reselling it as a turnkey home, of course, I'm just going to want to. I don't want to exceed it as much because it could potentially get you, especially now. Buy something now and renovate it and finish it in November, December, and try to sell it in November, December, and you'll see that 5%, 10% fluctuation could happen, rather quick. Now, that's how I invest. Many people may see it different ways. I've seen in real estate investors that say, hey, my formula, they do weird formulas, they do very different things, and it doesn't mean that they're right or they're wrong. It just means that's the way I do it. That's the way it works. That's the way I've been scaling the organization. That's the way we actually do it. We've got 7 people full time, dedicated to obviously growing themselves and growing the organization. So I must stay within certain parameters unless there's different strategies, exit strategies to it. So how about, is there any other questions? Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? It seems that, I guess I answered them all. Anyways, go ahead. If you're serious about finding freaking awesome real estate deals right in your backyard, I'm going to share the 5 top ways how I actually do it. I'm going to share exactly, most of them off market deals. I like them. Sometimes they're either pocket listings from agents, from direct mail, but I'm going to show you exactly, from what list is it that I'm getting it. I mean, a lot of people, I notice that they don't want to share. I'm going to share it. I'm literally going to open the curtain, for $297, you're going to know basically my business model, and you get to apply it the same way that I do it and benefit from it. So, I hope that $297 doesn't hold you up. Some of you guys already attended the live event. So if you did, congratulations. If you haven't, this is the opportunity to get the recording. Now, I hope that your dreams are bigger than $297 because $297 shouldn't be holding you up. I'm giving it away. Trust me. I make more money on real estate investing than in the educational platform so far. So anyways, I'm giving you basically the knowledge that has allowed us to grow and where I'm getting it from so that you can implement it in your life, so that you can have the financial freedom, the more time so that you can travel around the world, whatever is it that you're looking for. So go to levelupnowacademy.com/find. Mr. Omar, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Is there? I noticed that you opened the mic. Is there a question?
Yeah, there's one from Bernabel. He says, how can I build an all-weather portfolio if the market goes bad?
Great question, Bernabel. I think it's a very great question, and I very much like how to answer it. You got to buy right, but more importantly than buying right, you must understand that you have more than one exit strategy. If you buy right, and to me, right is understanding that you don't buy with emotion, you buy by numbers. Okay. I just shared the formula, right? And many people have different ways. My way works, and it has worked consistently. So I love to obviously repeat it, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. But if you want an all-weather portfolio, my suggestion is buy properties, which is going to make even a further challenge to find. Buy properties that work to renovate and resell, that work to renovate and rent and refinance, to purchase and and don't do much work of it, but you just go ahead and rent it and it's cash flowing. So, or, if it's got multiple exit strategies, if you have multiple exit strategies with multiple value adds, that's going to create what I believe a portfolio that is going to, it's going to weather, it's going to give you some great protection, in my opinion. Give you an example. We just bought a property, we bought a property up in the Bay Area, San Leandro. We just rented the property for $2,500 a month. Okay. We bought it for $225,000. The property is worth about $600,000. So do the math. We bought it for $225,000, is worth about $600,000, fully renovated. We went and renovated it. We put in, but because we knew that we were going to rent it, we didn't went all out and just completely gutted the place. No, we did renovation so that it presents well as a rental property. And we put in what I think $15,000, something like that. But it was nasty as you could ever imagine. Nasty. I mean, you would need a mask to get into the house. And guess what? Do the math. 225 plus 15, that's what? 240. 2,500. I mean, I bought it, gonna refinance out of it. If you do the math, 240. Just do the math at a 4% interest rate. If we get a regular loan, which now that is rented, now I'm gonna go and refinance out of it. So divided by 12, mortgage payment is less than $1,000. With everything. Let's just say $1,000. $1,000 with taxes, insurance, and everything. So if I sell it, let's just say as an example, market goes 50% down. Now it's no longer 600 is now 300. Well, still has an upside. Well, rents, it's rented at 2,500. So if it's rented at 2,500 minus $1,000, it's $1,500 cash flowing every single month. So let's just say the rent also goes half. Let's say everything collapses to 50%, which, by the way, the only time I've ever experienced that, it was back in 2007, 2008. So can it happen again? It can. I think it can. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But let's just say out of the 2,500, the rents goes, what is the likelihood the rent's going to slash on half? I don't think so. Can it happen? Anything is possible. But let's just say you slash it by half. That's 1,250. Well, it still pays for it. Do you see what I mean? So that piece of property has multiple exit strategies. Number one, it can be a rental. Number two, I can sell it right away. Okay. Or even on the downturn, I can sell it and break even at least. Or three, the city allows to build 2 more houses on the back. So I can build 2 more houses on the back for more cash flow or for more value. Does it make sense what I'm talking about, having multiple exit strategies? When you go into a deal that has multiple exit strategies and that has, cash flow benefits, and it makes sense, that's how you build that portfolio.
Okay. Thank you. Juan Carlos asked, for the freaking awesome people trying to get into the rehabbing, how can they find money to put down and rehab cost? It's hard to coming up with the 20% plus the renovation cost.
Great question, Mr. Juan Carlos. Great question. Buddy, all you got to do is just call me up, man. Not only you, but anybody who's watching this, you just got to call me up and we'll do something together. We'll work a joint venture or something. But the thing is this, people think that they need money. And I'll tell you this, you think your money, you got to change your mindset. You got to have great contacts. You got to network to have great contacts. Why am I saying this? Because I remember, if I go back 19 years ago, when I started buying real estate, I didn't have money. I didn't have credit, and I didn't have a stable job. I was 18 years of age, going into my 19th birthday when I first bought my very first property. But what I do remember having then, it was contacts that were eager, that saw light on me, and that was willing to help out. So you don't need money. You need great, amazing, freaking awesome contacts. And you can have me as one of them. You have a deal that makes sense and you don't have the money, I'll assign it to me. I'll buy it from you. Okay. I'll buy the contract from you. You got a deal that for whatever, and where can they send an email if they do, by the way, Omar, is there an email that we can, I think it's info, right?
Info at levelupnowacademy.com. I'll put it right here.
Yeah, go ahead and put it right there. So you can just go to info at levelupnowacademy.com and never feel just because you don't have the money, you don't need the money. You need the contact. You got me as a contact. The deal makes sense, I'm going to buy it from you. If the deal doesn't make sense, don't sweat it. Don't worry, because if you're, sometimes it takes creative eyes, as a matter of fact, I'm going to share something that I'm going to share something that I wrote that really stroked me. And he says that there's nothing more, there's hopefully I can find it. Give me a second. Let me see if I'm able to find it. Okay, I think I got it. Write this down, because I wrote it down. It impacted me. I was at church on Sunday, and it just punched me in the face, right? But in a good way. At the time, it was, okay, where is it at? Okay. There is worse things than being blind, and that is having eyesight and no vision. And he stroked me, because it's like, oh my God, how many times I lost deals because I was able to see with my physical eye, but I didn't have vision for that deal. And he reminds me, because when one of my students, good friend of mine, brought me the Manteca deal. He had obviously a deal, but he was trying to do it in one specific way. And when he showed it to me, immediately I said, I can do this deal with only 20 grand, 22 grand. Why would you need 120? Why would you want 120? And I showed him how. And it was interesting because it reminded me, and this happens to everybody, whether you're even experienced, sometimes has happened to extremely well experienced, fellow friends of mine, that when you're so used to just seeing things just one way, I call it the one directional person instead of a two directional or three-pronged directional or multiple directional, you got to train your mind to be a creative mind that it could develop a vision for each deal. And it's interesting because I'm actually going to be speaking on one of the, I think is at Mr. Jason's meetup in somewhere in the peninsula or Santa Clara or somewhere. And I'm precisely going to be talking about creative deals. And the reason being, it's you need to pay attention to it because, sometimes we, to me, deals went past my desk and literally somebody else did them, and they did them in a very different format, and boom, they saw something different that I was not seeing. Today, it's kind of tough to let a deal go by, unless I've exhausted everything, and then I notice that, nothing is really, I don't see it happening, right? Doesn't mean that I'm perfect. I'm figuring that out, and I'm still learning until today, but I can tell you that it adds value. So, anyways, I think I went way too long. So if you wanna find money, you got to network. If you want to find money, the simple answer, you got to network, or you have me, I can buy the deal from you.
Perfect. Vincent says thanks for the great information and experiences. And he also asks, do all the properties need to have clean title when buying and selling?
Mr. Vincent, I would suggest that he does. As a matter of fact, right after this webinar, I'm going to go into a call with one of our new real estate attorneys that we decided to hire on a deal in Reno, Nevada. Because the title is not clean, and I got questions on that. So I don't close on deals that I don't understand the title issue. Does it have to be clean 100% all the times? Not necessarily. I'll give you an example when a title is not clean per se. All right, I'll give you an example. So it depends what do you define as clean. For instance, if there's an easement, if there's an easement, it will never be clean. Title will not be clean because you're going to have to take it subject to that easement or subject to, if there's solars, and the solar is not owned by you, you're going to have to take it, subject to that solar system being in the house or things like that. But if you mean like, mortgages, taxes, and things of that nature, the answer is yes. And when I don't understand something, trust me, I pay the professional, paying whatever. I mean, I'd rather invest $250, $500, even $1,000, whatever it is. I prefer to flush $1,000, $5,000 to make sure that I'm not getting myself into deeper trouble. Why? Because I have.
Last question. He says, who do you use to refinance out of a property?
Great question. It all depends. Who did that question?
Vincent.
Mr. Vincent. It totally depends. Right now I'm using a gentleman by the name of Michael Ryan. And basically, but the same token, I've refinanced with multiple different places. He's really great at doing certain things, and very patient, by the way, and very grateful that I get to work with him. But then it depends on the project. It depends on the size of the property, and I use direct lenders, brokers, mortgage brokers, as well as I go to brokers that specialize just in commercial. That's all they do, and so it depends on the asset. So I think we're at the top of the hour, ladies and gentlemen. Great hangout here, at the weekly real estate talk show by Raul Luna. And you know what? I'm very grateful to have Mr. Omar here with me as well, because I think that we get to work together most of the time. But at the same time, I want you guys to know that he's also very well versed in the real estate field as well. Okay. So anyhow, go to levelupnowacademy.com/find, get your program. You will find nuggets that I can tell you straight flat out. Your business will not be the same. You as a person will not be the same. You will be better if you have a purpose of growing. All right. So get to see you in the next event, in the next weekly show. It was a pleasure to, be here with you guys. Get to obviously watch you at whatever event or whatever meetup that that I get to speak on. All right. So congratulations, Mr. Omar. Thank you very much for being here. We get to watch you guys next time.